Does the plaintiff own the court in
Yes.
civil or criminal cases?
No. Well, in a criminal case, the plaintiff is the state. Sure, they own their court, but when you do the counterclaim, you're opening your court. You're now court against court. And you're the second court, and you're challenging jurisdiction, and they have to prove their jurisdiction to your court. If they prove it, well, then you say, okay, continue. But if they don't prove it, then you order dismissal or something, award damages for bothering you.
Can I give you a specific situation?
Well, I mean, that you described it. That's the general gist of it. Go ahead, try. I mean,
I was attacked by a guy twice.
By what?
Before attacked me.
Yeah.
You're about 20 years younger than me.
Sure.
Just to figure out the easy thinking. So things didn't quite work out the way he expected them to.
Right.
He seemed for his wife to get a gun.
Sure.
So they came out in the residence for assault battery and terrorist threat. They dropped without me being present. They dropped the assault and battery, which means I lost my ability to collect damages. So I complained. They reopened the case.
Okay, this is a criminal case against him, right?
Right.
Okay, your status in a criminal case like that is a witness. That's it. You don't own the court. Not in that context.
Okay, so definitely.
That's state business. On the other hand, you may have a case against him because of the upset he caused you, injury, if any, bruises, whatever, yeah, sue him.
That's pretty simple.
That would be a common law case in a court of record. Then you'd have fun.
Thank you.
He'll lose sleep. If nothing else, it'll cost him money to go hire an attorney because those kind of people generally don't educate themselves in law.
Okay. But that's in the civil court, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, common law court.
Common law.
Yeah.
How do I distinguish between that?
Well, when you open it up, you say, I'm one of the people, and this is a court of record. Or in this court of record, I complain of such and such. Follow the example.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. And then if you ever want to take something to the grand jury, how do you find yourself?
Grand jury, that's a whole separate area of discussion.
Okay.
Anybody want to hear about grand juries? All right. If you want to hear about grand juries, I'll give you some ideas about grand juries.
Thank you.
Okay? But I'll answer the next question until we got enough people listening about grand juries. Yes, ma'am. You had another question?
I wanted to say that
Sure.
they impounded my vehicle, contract. Why they took my vehicle was because I did not have a tag on my vehicle.
Sure.
So I told DMV and Mike Chopla, I directed my mail to him, and I said, my contract with DMV has run out. I do not have a contract with you. I have my UCC-1 taking me out of the public into the private sector. I have my UCC-3 and I have a claim to the title.
Okay, but see,
yeah,
right. But you see, the problem is that you're just talking to them or writing them or something like that. That's not legal process.
No, I mean, I've gone after him. I'm going in. I am in federal court right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and they're trying to say,
Sure.
Say that statutes and codes
right.
supersede my rights, which is a lot of crap.
Yeah, but you see, they've said that. Now what you do is you rule on the motion. If the you violated one of the rules of good courtmanship. Okay?
Not really.
Yes, really. Because the world, think how the world looks at that. Nobody's going to believe that your case is worth $10 million.
My rights and my vehicle work, because they give me freedom.
To you.
That's right.
But you forgot the most important rule.
I showed it to the officer when he came up to me.
You still forgot the most important rule. I didn't say you're wrong. I just said you forgot an important rule. Okay? What is the definition of a court? The primary definition is a court is a place where you put on a show to convince the rest of the world that you're right. And I can tell you, well, I'm just telling you what it is. What my experience is, if you're not passing the show test. You may be passing the legal test, but you're not passing the show test. And that's not, I know a guy who has a multi-billion judgment against one of the cities in Orange County, actually Riverside County, city of Corona. And you know what? He's not even close to collecting. They all laugh at him. Okay? You got to have more to your suit than just a judgment.
They stole my vehicle. How easy can it be?
$10 million worth?
Again, they took my vehicle.
$10 million worth?
I had a title to...
Wait a minute. I'm convinced that you're convinced.
I have a claim to the title.
Great.
Okay? I
don't object to me. I'm not the one to...
Whatever.
You're not hearing me, are you?
Well, they didn't hear me either.
That's right. Why is that?
I said, sir, this is my job.
Don't argue your case before me. I'm not the judge. Okay? I'm just telling you that I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that you haven't passed the show test. Well, that's very idealistic, but you haven't passed the show test.
They stole my vehicle.
Do you know what the show test is?
Yeah, I have
What? What is the show test? What's the show test?
I have to be reasonable.
No, you haven't passed my test. You haven't really got it. You're close, but that's not it. You've got to convince the rest of the world that you're right, and you're not doing it. Well, you're right about that, but you're not right about the $10 million. That's correct, but it's not worth $10 million in their minds.
It works. I don't see their Cadillacs working as good as mine.
Did you collect the $10 million?
Not yet.
That's right. I don't think you will. I don't think you will because you're not passing that test. See? If you'd said 10,000, you might get it, but not 10 million.
Tell me please if I passed the test.
Pardon?
I stopped registering my 1991
Right.
automobile in 1995.
Sure.
It was towed away because it was parked in a preferred parking area and it had no plate on it.
Sure. Okay, but what's the question?
I was the police, when I went to the department of the police department,
Right.
they said I would have to register the car.
That's their rules. Sure.
To get my car
Sure.
back.
Right.
So what I did was I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Right.
I wrote a check. On the
Yeah.
back of the check, I wrote that my automobile was confiscated and it was without due process,
Sure.
in violation of the Constitution of the United States of
Okay.
1787 and the Constitution.
Why didn't you sue them instead?
Pardon?
Why didn't you just sue them?
Well, I didn't think of doing it at the time.
Okay. Well, then you...
When I got my car back, they endorsed the check.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got another registration after that.
Okay.
Did I do anything right?
Well, yeah, it isn't wrong, but there's other things I would have done instead of that. But, there's many different ways to handle a problem.
I've driven the car with no license plate since 1995.
Okay. Have you ever been stopped?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well,
And I don't have a driver's license either.
let's see the acid test is when you get stopped. Why don't you go down to the DMV and get a copy of your record? Maybe there's something on there that says leave you alone. Check it out.
I should do that.
Yeah.
However, the license is still registered in the system.
Well, it'll always be there. It'll always be there.
But there's no record of anything else.
Okay, well, great. But what's your question? Or just testimony? Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
I was wondering if I have a scratch report. I've done a TV show for about 15 years.
Yeah, get closer to the microphone.
Okay, I did a TV show for about 17 years. And one of the people on my show gave me some advice going forth. I just wondered if you know this is like an aberration that I won the lead or too easy. What he told me, I filed 10 motions against the judge to accuse them of all this.
Sure.
And he knew that was trouble, so he closed out the forehead starting locked the window.
Sure.
He threw everyone out, he threw my counsel out. Me and him have been...
Right. Back to common law here.
Yeah. So he closed my case. I walked up to the swinging gate. And when I did that, I stopped real abruptly.
Oh, short of the, right,
I didn't go into the bar.
right.
So, he asked me to come into the bar, and I said, no, I'm here on a special appearance, not a just appearance, outside jurisdiction.
Sure.
I denied his jurisdiction. I come here to challenge your jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
He told me if I didn't come to the bar, it's your bench warrant. I told him, well, fine, I'm here, don't bother, just arrest me now.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
He got all upset.
Sure.
And threw me out of court.
You called his bluff, right.
And that was the end of the case.
Oh, great. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and he might have figured, wait a minute, I don't want to bother with this. I've met guys like me, you're more headache than it's worth, and nobody was there to witness it. It's just you and him, so who knows what he wrote in the record to justify his action. But he just probably didn't want it, and it wasn't that serious a case. Now, if you'd been in there for murder, it might have been a different result. But, you know, these things happen. I've had cases unexplainably dismissed, too, even before I got involved in this. So, I can't explain it. But I've heard that technique before, and apparently it worked in that case. I know of other cases where it didn't work. Now, the reason they didn't work is unknown to me. It may be ignorance of the judge. He just went ahead and did his thing anyway. Or it could be that he actually had a point.
He found everybody guilty.
Well, okay. Well, maybe you got a valid technique, and that judge knew it. If you had an ignorant judge, it might not have worked. Okay. Sure. So is that it? That's your question? Okay.
I had the same judge as him
Okay.
a couple of years earlier.
Sure.
When I did have a driver's license, I was stopped because I wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Okay, that happens.
There was a fine of $22.
Yeah, protecting the state's property, right?
Right.
Okay.
I wrote a letter to the court and sent them a public money office certificate.
Yeah, that's a whole nother technique, right. I wouldn't use that in the common law, but yeah, you could do that.
But I used that.
Okay.
To accept it.
Sure.
It was good upon the declaration that
Right.
money was in the United States within 90 days.
Right.
And I had my address on it.
Okay.
Anyway, I went to the court.
Well, now, excuse me, but I want to answer questions. Are you making another testimony?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a different area of law. It doesn't, the area I'm in is a different strategy. I'm not saying it doesn't work, and I've heard of the public money order, or I can't even remember what it's called, but I've heard of it, but that's not where I'm at.
They refused to take the money. They sent it back to me.
Okay.
The certificate. When they did that, I sent them a notice of dishonor.
Sure. Is the guy behind you going to get a chance to ask his question?
Yeah, because they dishonored my payment.
Sure.
So, but I went down to the court anyway, and I made an appearance in the court, a special appearance.
Okay.
The same judge was here, Gary Binder.
All right. Now, you're not letting the guy behind you ask his questions. You're continuing your testimony.
I told us that there was a special appearance, and I showed him all the papers that were sent to the court.
Now, how can I help you with all this testimony you're giving me? You're in a completely different area of law than what I'm talking about. Okay. I mean, it can be valid. I'm not saying...
He dismissed the case and said it was paid.
Okay, great. Okay. Yes, sir.
I didn't mean to belabor it. I had asked a question and gave him the answer, but I just couldn't write it down about when I get into a civil court. How do I make sure that I can convert this into my court?
Yeah, get closer to the mic. You can adjust it. Yeah. It tilts. Sure.
Because I have retained an attorney for the civil case, I don't know what to do. And he doesn't seem to be moving forward with this.
Yeah, well, you're in the court's jurisdiction when you retain an attorney, and his first duty is to the court, his second duty is to you.
Then I should probably discharge this.
Yeah, basically dump him. I mean, but you're on your own then after that. So, you know, do you have the knowledge to handle it? Well, I suggest that if it's a serious case, that you either educate yourself real fast or put yourself on the mercy of your attorney. But don't be in between.
Well, I'm not sure that he's going to act on my behalf.
Well, that's right. You maybe fire him and get another attorney. But apparently it's not working for you the way you want. So well, then maybe you better educate yourself.
Okay.
You know,
the first thing to do, though, is just to
Counterclaim.
Counterclaim?
Right.
And then the second?